Hey guys. All right, so lesson 4. The first thing we need to recall from Algebra 1 is that if we have the zero product property, which says that if we have A times B equal to 0, so if we're multiplying two things that equal 0, then either A can equal 0 or B can equal 0, okay? And that means that if A is 0, then we would have 0 times B, which would be 0, because anything times 0 is 0. Doesn't matter what B is. Or if B is 0, then we would have A times 0, which is also 0, okay? So we also want to remember these steps when we're solving by factoring. We want to first make sure we have 0 on one side of the equation. Second, we'll use our steps for factoring quadratics. So we'll use our flow chart. And then third, apply the zero product property. So number 1 here, we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 3x plus 12. So let's go ahead and solve. We want to get 0 on one side, so I'm going to go ahead and move 3x and 12 over to the other side. And this leaves me with 2x squared minus 8x minus 24 equals 0. Then I'm going to follow my steps for factoring. So first, I have a GCF I can factor out of this expression. I can take a 2 out. So it leaves me with 2 times x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. Well, because I'm multiplying on the right-hand side, the left-hand side here, by 2, I can undo that multiplication by division. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 2 divided by 2 becomes 1, and that just leaves me with x squared minus 4x minus 12 on the left-hand side, and 0 divided by 2 is 0. Now I have something equal to 0, and I need to factor my quadratic. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 12 and add up to give me negative 4. So I am going to go with negative 6 and positive 2. So negative 6 times 2 gives me negative 12. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Now I can apply the zero product property. So that tells me that I can, since I'm multiplying two things together, I can, and they equal 0, then I can say that x minus 6 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. So I can add 6 on both sides, and x equals 6. I can subtract 2 from both sides, and okay, sorry about the knocking. So let's look at number 2. We have x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. So on this problem, I don't have a GCF to factor out. I'm already equal to 0, so I can just factor. Looking for two numbers that multiply to give me negative 5 and add up to give me negative 4. So I'm going to go with negative 5 times 1. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. I apply my zero product property, which says x minus 5 equals 0 or x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, I can add 5 to both sides. So x equals 5. Subtract 1, x equals negative 1. So what these mean when I find these two solutions is we're graphing a quadratic. So when I graph a quadratic, it's a parabola. And what's happening is I'm finding the solutions. I'm finding the places where I'm crossing the x-axis. So for number 2, this is saying I'm crossing the x-axis at positive 5 and negative 1. So this would be at that point 5, 0 and negative 1, 0. Okay? So number 3, we have 10x squared minus 5x equals 0. On this problem, I don't have a b value. I'm already equal to 0, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing my factoring steps. First, I am looking at my GCF. Do I have a GCF? Well, in this problem, I can take a 5x out of both terms, and that's going to leave me with 2x minus 1. Because 10x squared divided by 5x is 10 divided by 5 is 2. X squared divided by x is x. Negative 5x divided by 5x. Well, 5x divided by 5x is just 1. Anything divided by itself is 1, so that gives me with negative 1. So again, I'm multiplying two things here. So I can apply my zero product property. I have 5x equals 0 and 2x minus 1 equals 0. And I can solve for x. So I have x equals 0. So I'm going to go through the origin, add 1 to both sides, divide by 2. So I have x equals 1/2. So those are my two solutions there. The last problem I have is 3x squared plus 1 equals 13. So you can do this a couple different ways. I am going to show you guys the square root method. So we can solve for 0 here, follow our factoring steps, and be able to come up with a solution. But I want to show you the square root method. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. That's going to leave me with 3x squared equals 12. I'm going to divide by 3. I have x squared equals 4. And I can take the square root of both sides. That's going to leave me with x equals 2. But I have to consider that positive 2 times 2 will give me 4, and so will negative 2 times 2. So I have